All right, Shalom. I want to start off with giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Harakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to you, brothers, to the four corners of the earth, preaching this word and also laboring in this word in truth, love, and sincerity, and may blessings fall upon the houses of the 1/3. There is no such thing of an African Hebrew Israelite. There is no such thing of an African Hebrew Israelite. That teaches nothing but confusion. It's the book of 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. And saying that you're an African Hebrew Israelite, that is nothing but confusion. Okay? And I'm going to show you and tell you why it's confusion. All right? Because Africans come from Ham. All right? Africans, the real Africans, they are Hamitic. And Hebrews are Shemitic. All right? Hebrew Israelites are Shemitic as well. Okay? Now you have many different, people that are Hebrews, right? You got the Edomites are Hebrews, which are the so-called white people. You got the Elamites that are Hebrews, right? Which they are the East Indians. You have Ishmael that are Hebrews. They are the Arabs today. You have the Chinese, which is Moab. Japanese, which is Ammon, right? They are Hebrews as well, okay? But I said their first biblical name, the Hebrew Edomites, right? Hebrew Elamites, Hebrew Ishmaelites, Hebrew Moabites, Hebrew Ammonites, right? And so on. But, right, who in particular who we're speaking of are the Hebrew Israelites, all right? Who are the Hebrew Israelites, right? Which, yes, they come from Shem. The Israelites today are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, West Indians, and Haitians, so-called, right? And the rest of the Israelites that are descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, scattered through the four corners of the earth, scattered through the four corners of the earth, no matter what they look like, no matter what land they are in, no matter what tongue that they are speaking. If you go back to the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you are an Israelite. Okay? But an African, on another hand, right, they come from Ham. So let's get right into this, all right? Let's go to the first scripture. So let's go to the book of Genesis, right? Let's go to the book of Genesis 10. See where I want to start at. 10 verse 1, right? Because Noah had 3 sons, and everyone came out of the 3 sons of Noah. Matter of fact, first let me get this real fast, right? I got the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. And we're going to go to Ham. All right? To see who comes from Ham. Let's see. All right, so this is page 213, right? The definition of Ham. It says Ham, perhaps meaning hot. So when we say cham in the Hebrew, right, meaning hot. It says the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes. Let's read that again. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. That gives you a scripture, Genesis 10 through 6 through 20. His infancy, when his father lay drunk and brought a curse upon Canaan, right? Gives you that scripture, Genesis 9, 20 through 27. City east of the Jordan, Genesis 14 and 5. The descendants of the original Ham, right? And gives you the different chapters, Psalm 78, 51, Psalms 105, verse 23, Psalms 106 and 22. In these passages, Ham is used as an other name for Egypt, as representing Ham's principal's descendants, right? So again, it says he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. So, right, putting this book together, they know that you so-called Negroes in America, right? They know that you are not Africans. Okay, they know you're not a descendant of Ham, okay, or a descendant of the Africans today. But in fact, they do indeed know that, right? You come from the line of Shem, and you go back to being the Hebrew Israelites. You are the real Jews today, okay? And the fake Jews, the fake Jewish people, right, in our homeland, our holy land today, they have taken on your identity, okay? You have lost your identity, and they have taken it upon themselves. They portray themselves to be the real Jews, right, which they're not. They're the fake Jews. They are the Jewish people. But you Negroes here in America, you are the real Jews, okay? You come from the tribe of Judah, okay? Now, before I go further, I want to make this mention. Yes, you have Israelites in Africa, right? You have Israelites in Africa, right? But there is no such thing as an African Hebrew Israelite, okay? Those are two different people, okay? Now, it's best to word it, you have Israelites in Africa, okay? Because you know, as the scriptures say, the Israelites who've been scattered through the four corners of the earth, right? And even being recovered the second time, remnant being recovered the second time, there's going to be certain places in the land of Africa where Israelites will be delivered from. So we'll get into that further into the lesson, right? Let's go to the book of Genesis 10, verse 1. It says, "Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and unto them were sons born after the flood." Right? So let's get to the point. Let's get to the main people we're talking about. It says, "And the sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush are Sabah, and Havilah, and Sabtah, and Ramah, and Sabtukah, and the sons of Ramah, Shabah, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod. He began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it was said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Canaan, in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and the city of Rehoboth, and Calah. And Rassam between Nineveh and Calah, the same is a great city. And Mizraim begot Lodem, and Anamim, and Lahabim, and Naphtahim, and Pathrasam, and Caslahim, out of whom came Philistim, and Caphatorim. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Hoth, and the Jebusite, and the Amorite, and the Girgashite, and the Hivite, and the Archite, and the Sinite, and the Aradite, and the Zemarite, and the Hamathite. And afterward were the families of the Canaanites spread abroad. And the border of the Canaanites was from Sidon, as thou comest to Gerar, to Giza, and thou goest in Sodom, right? And Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Sodom and Gomorrah, and Admah and Zobium, even unto Lashah. These are the sons of Ham after their families, after their tongues, in their countries, in their nations. Right? So that's going into the line of Ham. Okay? All these people we named, those are the true Africans, the real Africans today. Right? So now let's jump to verse 21. It says, now unto Shem, also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth, the elder, even to him were children born. So it's going to go down this line. It says the children of Shem is Elam and Ashur and Ephraxad and Lud and Aram. Right? This is all Shemitic. And the children of Aram was Uz and Hul and Guthar and Mosh. And Ephraxad begot Salah, and Salah begot Eber. And unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one was Peleg, and in the days of the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. And Joktan begot Amadad and Shalaf and Hazamarvath and Jerah. And Salak, if I'm pronouncing these wrong names a little bit off, it says and Hadaram and Yazal and Daklah and Abal and Abamel and Shapah and Ophir and Havilah and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan, and their dwelling was from Mashah, as thou goest unto Sapar, a mount of the east. These are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues, and their lands, after their nations. These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations in the nations. And by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood. Right, so going back to the Noah's three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. But I went into, Ham, right, and Shem. Okay, I went into those lines. So when we jump to verse 11, right, that goes into the one language in the world, and then they was built in the Tower of Babel, right, and then the Lord confuses the languages, but he also kept, right, the holy tongue, right. I'm going into a specific line, right, in Shem. Going back to Eber, right? Eber means from the past. Ibarium. Matter of fact, we can look up that definition right now since we're in the Bible. Let's go to Eber. Let's see. Yep, Eber. Right, son of Shelah, a grandson of Shem. Let's see. Doesn't have too much on there. Let's lock it. Let me 1 second, Akim, bear with me. Trying to get this for you. All right, Salakia Akim. So, hey, just rolling in the spirit, and as things is coming to my mind, I'm trying to get the most I can so this can be an edifying lesson. And some lessons be like that. Some lessons be, more planned, and others be, all through the spirit. Right. Yeah. So, because I was going into Eber. And in fact, let's see if I can go to. If I can go to Blue Letter. Right, so, yep, Eber, Ibar means from the past, and that's where the holy tongue was kept, right? Going through Eber, right? Also known as Ibarium, or Ibar. So Genesis 11, let's jump to verse 10. It says, these are the generations of Shem. Shem was 100 years old and begot Ephraxad 2 years after the flood, right? So just trying to make this, I don't want to make this too long, right? The line goes from Shem to Ephraxad, to Salah, to Eber, right? To Peleg, from Peleg to Reu, and from Reu to Serug, and Serug to Nahor to Terah, and then Terah to Abraham, right? Because I'm trying to hit the main points to Abraham. That's verse 26. And before Abram, his name was later changed to Abraham, right? Abraham, Salaki, it's Abaram. That's what it is. Abaram, right? Terah lived 70 years and begot Abaram, Nahor, and Haran. Okay? Now, if you know anything that Abaram, right, or Abraham, right, meaning Abraham is exalted father, and Abraham is father of the multitude, right? So if you know anything about Abraham, right, he was one of the three fathers of the promises, right? Because the promises went from who? Went from Abraham to Isaac and to Jacob, right? Now, with that being said, right, Jacob became what? The father or the progenitor of the Israelites. So let's get this precept real fast, right? And Salakia, hopefully everything is coming together and making sense, as I'm going through the spirit. Let's go to the book of Hebrews 11, verse 7. It says, by faith Noah, being warned of the Most High, of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house, by which he condemned the world and became heir of the righteousness which is by faith. By faith Abraham, when he was called to go out into a place which he should after receive for an inheritance, obeyed, and he went out, and not knowing whither he went. By faith he sojourned in the land of promise, as in a strange country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. You see that? Because it's all about the promises, man. Right? And they were the seeds of the promise. You see? Hey, when you jump to verse 17, it says, by faith Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called. You see that? In Isaac shall thy seed be called. See, accounting that the Most High, or that God, was able to raise him up even from the dead, from whence also he received him in a figure. By faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph, and worshiped leaning upon the top of his staff. You see? So there you go. Right? Let's get one more before we continue on. Let's go to the book of Sirach, also known as Ecclesiasticus 44, verse 19. Abraham was a great father of many people, and glory was there none like unto him, who kept the law of the Most High, and was in covenant with him. He established the covenant in his flesh, and when he was found proved, he was found faithful. Right? Therefore he assured him by an oath that he will bless the nations in his seed, and that he will multiply him as the dust of the earth, and exalt his seed as the stars, and cause them to inherit from sea to sea, from the river unto the utmost parts of the land. With Isaac did he establish likewise for Abraham his father's sake the blessing of all men in the covenant, and made it rest upon the head of Jacob. You see the fathers of the promises, right? Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He acknowledged him in his blessing, and gave him an heritage, and divided his portions among the 12 tribes did he part them. Okay, so I just wanted to make that point as well. Right now, Jacob's name got later changed to Israel. Because as I mentioned, he is the progenitor of the Israelites, right? Genesis, what is it, 32, right? After Jacob wrestled with the angel, right? So it says, right, verse 27 says, and he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou doest ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. So Jacob's name got later changed to Israel, okay, which he being the progenitor of the Israelites. Now, Jacob had children by Rachel, Leah, Bella, and Ziplah, okay. Yep. Yep. One a handmaid from each of those women, Rachel and Leah. I forget which handmaid is which, but both of them were their handmaids who Jacob had his children by as well. Okay, so yeah, so right, so but going back to this line, Jacob will come from a line of Shem. All right, not from the line of Ham. Okay. So when you're saying someone's an African Hebrew Israelites, you're saying two different, nations, so to speak, two different whole races. Let's go to this, right? Because you are who you are with the seed of your father. So let's get that out of the way as well. Numbers 1 verse 18, it says, and they assemble all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declare their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, according to the number of their names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So, they declare their pedigrees or their lineage after their families by the house of their fathers. Okay? That's how you was to find someone's line by the house of their father. Okay? You would simply ask, well, who does your father go back to? Who does their father go back to see who a person belongs to, right? And that will be the same way how it will be today. Okay, if your father is a Hamite, right? You're a Hamite. If your father's an Israelite, you're an Israelite. Whatever the nation of your father is, that's what you are, man. No matter what nationality or race a woman would be. Okay, because the man carries the seed. The man determines the seed of that child or the lineage of that child. Okay. So I'm trying to think what am I forgetting? Oh yeah, right. So I was saying you have Israelites in Africa. Right. So let's get the scripture, Deuteronomy 28. Verse 60. Verse 64. And it says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth, even into the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. You see? So this is a part of the curses that happened upon the Israelites. That what will happen to us? One of them, that we will be scattered among all the people. So you have Israelites among all the nations, man. Okay? You have Israelites among all the nations. That's why we always say it does not matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what color you are, right? As long as your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're an Israelite. Okay? And yes, you still do have Israelites in tiers of Africa. Now, even dealing with our homeland Jerusalem being besieged, right? Where did a lot of Israelites run to? They ran into what? The interiors of majority West Africa, but also other places inside of Africa, right? South Africa, North Africa, Europe, right? All different lands running from the Roman persecution. So now when we go to another book, it's from Babylon to Timbuktu. Let's go to page 84. It says, In the year of 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. Vespasian, General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state, but we know it's the state of the Jews, right? With great slaughter during the period of the military governors of Palestine. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people during the period from Pompey to Julius. It has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. Okay, and the A gives you the scripture that I just read, Deuteronomy 28:64, right? And going to the curses and different things like that. But it just shows you that what? You had Israelites running into Africa. And you got a lot of Israelites today that's all in Africa, man. Even some of them that's keeping that, even some of them that know they're Israelites in there are still keeping, some of our customs that we kept, that we had, man. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Let's start at the top a little bit. It says, to this statue, the people brought, still page 84. It says, to this statue, the people brought the sacrifices of pig meat, the animal which is an abomination to the Jews because of the religious persecution. The legitimate high priest, Onias III, and many other Jews fled into African countries, such as Egypt, Ethiopia, Cyrenia, which is Libya, right? What else we got? Yep. Let's go down to a little bit further. It says, the Jewish philosopher Philo, about 40 BC. So like it says about 40. Then it says BC. Let's say BC negative 40 AD, who lived in Alexandria, Egypt, said that 1 million Jews resided in Libya and Egypt, and from Catabathmos to the borders of Ethiopia. Right now, where can we find that in the scriptures that even proves that Israelites are still right in those lands today? Let's go to the book of Isaiah, the 11th chapter. Right? It's the book of Isaiah 11, verse 10. It says, and in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Gentiles seek, and his rest shall be glorious. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. You see? So as we just mentioned, what did we just mention? We mentioned, or as the book mentions, it mentions what? You have Israelites in Egypt still. You see Egypt. You get Israelites in Ethiopia. That would be Cush, right? And Cyrenia, that would be Libya. Now, I want to go somewhere in the scripture to find Cyrene, right? Because we got that in the scriptures too. Verse 12, it says, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel. You see? So he's going to gather the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. You see that? So the Lord is going to deliver his people from wherever they are located. Okay? But I just pulled that scripture out just to prove you that you have Israelites still in those places. And when the Lord comes get to gather back the elect, they are going to be in some of these lands that was just named, coinciding with the book of Babylon to book 2, where these people were running and hiding at. All right. So let's get this real fast. Type in Cyrene. Cyrene. Let me see. Okay, right here. Whoo. Okay, oh man, we got a couple of them. Okay, so let's go to Acts 2. It says, oh boy, up. So Acts 2 verse 5, it says, and there was dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. Why? Because they were scattered out of every nation. And what was part of our customs to come up to Jerusalem 3 times a year. You keep the different high holy days, man. Right? That's what they would do. This is now, when this noise was abroad, the multitude came together and were confounded, because that every man heard them speak in his own language. And they were all amazed and marveled, saying one to another, Behold, are not all these which speak Galileans? And how hear we every man in our own tongue wherein we were born? It's about the name of places, right? Parthians and Medes and Elamites and dwellers in Mesopotamia and in Judea and in Cappadocia and Pontus and Asia and Phrygia and Pamphylia and Egypt and in parts of Libya about Cyrene, and strangers of Rome, Jews and proselytes, Cretes and Arabians, we do hear them speak in our own tongue the wonderful works of the Most High, man. That was a beautiful thing, right? They were speaking in tongues, right? Showing you that was just different languages. But the point I wanted to touch on this is what? In Phrygia, Pamphylia, in Egypt, and the parts of Libya about Cyrene. So you had Israelites all up in there, man, right? Asia Minor, Turkey, right? Different places in Europe, right? They was all around, man. You see, from the different scattering that would happen to us. Okay, so when you even when you hear of all these different letters that's being written, right? Like as Paul is writing to the Corinthians, right, which are Israelites, right, in Corinth, Greece. Same with Israelites in Ephesus being called Ephesians, right? Same with he was writing to the Israelites that were which up in Rome. You see? Because you got Israelites scattered all around, all up in these places, man, these locations. Let's get another Cyrene one. Let's look at this one. Acts 11 verse 20 says, and some of them were men of Cyprus and Cyrene, which when they were come to the Antioch spake unto the Grecians, preaching the Lord Yahushai. There you go. Acts 13:1, it says, now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simon that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene, and a Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod the Tetrarch and Saul. You see? So even when you see Simon and Cyrene and things like that, you can't be saying, them are Africans, man. You see the Lord's dealing with other nations. Though they're not, because these are Israelites, that were scattered amongst these nations, man, that even took hold upon these different names of these nations and took upon their cultures, man, some of them. Then you had other ones that knew that they were Israelites that were up in these different lands as well, man. Okay. Just like we heard one of the fake Christians, they try to use this. What is it? Acts 8. Right? Dealing with the Ethiopian eunuch. Yep. That's what you try to use, the Ethiopian eunuch. Right? What's that? Acts 8. Let's see if we... Let me see. Right here, yep. Acts 8 verse 26, it says, and the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, arise and go toward the south into the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert. And he rose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians. They be like, see, he's dealing with the Ethiopians, so he's dealing with all nations. But you got to understand that there was Israelites among these different lands. When we just read the book of Isaiah, right, the 11th chapter, it goes into what? Some of the people that will be remnant that will be recovered from where? They will be recovered from Cush, which that is Ethiopia. You see? So this Ethiopian eunuch was an Israelite. All right? What you say? Wait, here I come. Right, so Salakia. So yeah, yep. So just showing you what this Ethiopian eunuch, he was an Israelite, man. Okay. Now the Lord has put a difference between us and the Africans or Egyptians, as the scriptures say, but Egyptians go back to what? Africans. Exodus 11 and 7 says, but against any of the children of Israel Shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how the Lord doeth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. You see, in Egypt, the real Egyptians are what? They're Africans, they're Hamites. You see, so the Lord put a difference between us two. You see, there's no such thing of an African Hebrew Israelite. Okay, Africans are Hamitic, right? Hebrews are Shemitic, right? And Israelites come from Jacob. They're also Shemitic too. You see, but Hebrew Israelites, right, Hebrew Israelites stem from come from the line of or come from the progenitor of the father, which is Jacob. Okay. Let's go to the book of Exodus. See another one. Exodus 1, verse. Whoo. Oh boy. Right, so this is when the Egyptians put us in captivity after what? Joseph died, right? Because the king didn't know Joseph. Let me see. Right, verse 6, Exodus 1 and 6 says, and Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation, and the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. And there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more mightier than we. You see, this is an Egyptian Pharaoh saying this. Let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. You see? So they put us in hard bondage, right? The Egyptians, the Africans. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, and with mortar and with brick, and in all manner of service in the field, all their service wherein they made them serve with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, which in the name of one was Shipporah, the name of the other was Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, see them upon the stools. If it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be of a daughter, then she shall live, right? Because they knew that your lineage will continue by what? If you continue to have male children, right? That's how your line is able to keep going on. It shows you that they knew that your lineage goes by the seed of your father, man. Okay, not just because you take out all the men, and it's just like, okay, they got no might or power because you could raise your men up to be warriors, but they knew that you kill off a line by what? Killing the male children, right? Verse 17 says, but the midwives feared the Most High and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men children. And the king of Egypt called the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing, and have saved the men children alive? And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women, right? It says, and these were Israelite women, but it's just saying Hebrew, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women. That's a difference right there once again. You see, the Egyptians are true Africans, in the Hebrew women, right? And this Israelite woman, right, of the Hebrews are different. Okay? It says, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women, for they are lively and are delivered in the hands, or the midwives come in unto them. You see that? You see? Because our women are lively, man. Okay? Hey, when our women do everything, who follows suit? All the other nations, man. Okay? Whatever our women do, all the other nations' women, follow suit per se. Right? And our women are very lively, man. Our women are not, just a dull and bland like them goddamn African women, man. You see? And even if you do go to the land of Ham, or go to Africa, go into you'll be able to tell the difference of who's a true African, or who's a true Hamite, and who's which woman is an Israelite, man. Okay, because our people got style, our people got flavor, our people got soap. You see, our people are lively because the Lord made us this way, man. You see, our people just got this natural glow to them. You see, not like no stink ass African, man. All right, let's get another one. Let's go to we can close out one and get this one. Genesis 43, verse 32. It says, and they set on for him by himself, and for them by themselves, and the Egyptians which they eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. You see that? Different people, you see? And who do the Egyptians go back to? Right? The Egyptians go back to being Africans, man. You see? Oh, man. Let's read it again. In his honor of him, Compact Bible Dictionary, page 213, it says, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Hey, and the real Egyptians today is these tall, dark people, right? Tall, dark-ass people, man, right? Living over there in Sudan, man. Those are the real Egyptians today, man. Okay? Those are who the real Egyptians are, man. So you Negroes here, y'all ain't Egyptians, man. Y'all the true Jews. You see? There's one more I wanted to get. All right, we can get this in the close. I can't. My mind's going blank. Right, Galatians 4 verse 26. Right, because you got a lot of Jake to be like, Africa's the homeland, man. Africa's the motherland. Right, and Africa is a beautiful land, but Africa ain't got shit to do with being our homeland, man. Right. Let's go to the book of Galatians 4 verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So Jerusalem is our homeland.